is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Big Red Barrelcast, episode 2. I am Kev, one of your hosts, and I am joined this week by a Texan. That's you, Dave.
Dun dun dun.
Oh, that's me.
And I'm joined by a Canadian.
And that would be me. What's going on, everybody?
That's PacManPolarBear. Alright, now before we get started, I got a little thing I'd like to say.
Is it a rap?
No. This week is a straight up statement. Dave, if you could insert in post-production some sort of like anthemic music behind me, something like that, I don't know. Sony, I bought your PlayStation 1. I bought a lot of games for your PlayStation 1. I had great times. Then the PlayStation 2 came along, and I bought it again. And I played a lot of PlayStation 2 games. The PlayStation 3 came along, and it was incredibly expensive. And I bought that thing on launch day. I bought all of the games that came out with it, and many afterwards. And now you've announced the PlayStation 4, and I'm excited still. But still there is one thing that you have not done for me, but despite my many years of service to you. Well, service is an odd word to choose, but you know what I mean. I have devoted a lot of my life to you, Sony, and you still haven't released Incredible Crisis on PS1 Classics.
There it is. I was like, after a while, he's like, you still haven't done one thing. I was like, I know exactly where this is going.
I need Incredible Crisis in my life, Sony. It's no good. People who don't know what that is by now, by the way, should look it up on YouTube. Just look for Incredible Crisis gameplay. It's incredible. Literally. Anyway, we have a show to do, so I'm going to get on with that.
that was awesome. I was waiting to see what was going to happen. Like, man, he could start talking about dragons or something at any second now, the way he's talking.
No, I knew right where he was going. He's like, there's one thing you haven't done. I was like, we're going to Incredible Crisis. That's where we're going.
This always comes back to Incredible Crisis, Dave. I will not shut up about it until I get my Incredible Crisis. Of course, now someone will say, well, you know it's actually available. It's just down here in this weird little corner of the PlayStation Store where no one ever sees it.
You know it's on Steam, you just gotta look for it.
It's in that corner of the PlayStation Store that's like, it's the equivalent of the corner of the high street where the homeless guy hangs out, but no one ever notices him because they don't want to. So they just walk past.
Because really they don't want to.
Yeah.
The other day I was at a stoplight and there was a guy standing there begging for money and his sign said, I'm too ugly to be a prostitute and I'm too honest to steal. Can I borrow $1?
Oh, I'd give that guy $1.
I gave him $1. I was like, that sign deserves $1.
Damn straight. Right.
Yeah, you know, bums who put some real, effort into it, I applaud them.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Because anybody can end up where they are. Anybody.
Yeah. Too bloody true. Okay, so back to video games, yeah?
Video games!
Tuesday's coming. No, Tuesday's a big day. We got the new StarCraft coming out on Tuesday, and that the final expansion for Battlefield 3 with the dirt bikes and the dogfighting mode. It's gonna be awesome, son.
There's a lot going on. There really is.
Yeah.
But back to the week just past. For now.
Aww.
Tom Brady.
Who has played Tom Brady? Other than me.
I've watched people stream playing Tomb Raider because I haven't picked it up yet.
Dave, I bet you haven't played it.
I haven't played it yet. I start my new job this week, and right first paycheck, I've got some stops to make at the store.
I definitely want it within the week myself too.
It is.
It looks great.
I'm not going to harp on too long about this, but that game is really good.
That's what I hear.
Really,
I hear it's a great escape from the traditional Tomb Raider esque-ness of the franchise, and it embraces a lot of things that people love, like the stealth stuff is really good, the bow and arrow stuff's really good, and the likeness to Uncharted is also loved.
Except it controls really, really well, so it's got one up on Uncharted.
Is that because you can use an Xbox 360 controller? Oh.
I don't know what Uncharted would control like on an Xbox 360 controller, but I just know that it's always been a nightmare for me to control Nathan Drake's movements. I have the same issue with that game that I have with Infamous, plus the fact that Uncharted has always had this incredible tendency of throwing enemies at me constantly, forever, seemingly. And I hate that. It's worse than Monster Closets.
And they're talking about the 360 controller because before the show, I said I prefer the PlayStation 3 controller, and they prefer the 360 controller, and there's things about each controller that we like or whatever. Basically, the PlayStation 3 controller is better, but whatever.
Says you.
Yeah.
You're alone on that one, sonny boy.
Oh, what a surprise. The PlayStation podcast alumni likes the PlayStation 3 controller a little more. But I'll tell you what they haven't done is give us Incredible Crisis yet.
You know why? Illuminati.
Well, probably. Always
I think it's because Phil Harrison personally owns the license to Incredible Crisis. He bought it on the cheap. And he's like, there's a guy out there in the UK. His name's Kev. That guy.
I'm going to Atari.
Yeah.
So Phil Harrison, do you just never make good choices? Apparently not. Anyway, we have some news this week because Tomb Raider is really good, but I'm not going to talk about it on my own. It's a little pointless. So maybe when you guys have played it, we'll come back to it. It's good. Go and play it. It's like Batman Arkham Silly. Batman Arkham Silly is bred with Uncharted.
You know what I realized about Tomb Raider is going to play in well to what I suppose is probably going to be our big topic of the week, and we'll find out why later in the show.
Oh, we'll get there.
Well, I have a quick question for you. Someone, actually, Dark Wonders asked this on the Twitter. If you had to compare the characters, just the characters, not the gameplay or anything like that, of Nathan Drake and Lara Croft, who do you prefer, sir?
I don't know. They're really different. Nathan Drake's like this. He's this enchanting personality who's just always in a good mood, and that is something
He's
I
Nathan
like.
Fillion, we understand.
Sure. Yeah, he is very much the Nathan Fillion-esque Han Solo, that kind of character. He's a lovely guy to watch, he's entertaining, and all is good, except, he's a mass murderer that doesn't really take 2 seconds to think about that fact, but that's beside the point. Lara Croft, on the other hand, is a student who has just found herself in a situation where everything that happens to her is just utterly unfortunate and never-ending. I call it Lara Croft stars in a series of unfortunate events.
Nice.
Nothing bad, and nothing good ever happens to her once she hits that island. It's constant beatings, and she takes it really well for the most part. Not like laughing at it, but
I laugh at your pain. Hit me harder, pussy.
No, she doesn't do that.
No,
but she reacts a bit like a human being. She does then go on to murder everyone around her, but she at least acts like a human being sometimes, which is not quite what Nathan Drake is famous for.
It's more a question of how much better it is now that we have two distinct characters, who are both sort of the action adventure people. So now we have two franchises instead of it just being sort of Uncharted.
Sure. Mm-hmm. And they play kind of similarly, those games, but
every game should have a bow.
Oh man, the year of the bow is just getting better and better.
I have yet to get tired of using a bow in a game.
It's really fun
because it's sweet. It's stealthy, and it's the only gun that replenishes its own bullets.
What games have we had so far? We've had Far Cry 3,
Far Cry,
Crysis 3.
This game, Crysis.
Assassin's Creed 3.
Oh, Assassin's Creed 3. Yeah, the bow's had a good run so far. More bows is what we're saying, game developers. More bows.
That's my takeaway from everything.
Yeah.
And apparently there's going to be a Walking Dead at some point, and I'm sure there will be a bow in that.
Yeah. And talking about old franchises that are making a bit of a comeback, Shadowrun Returns is a Kickstarter project that is going on right now, and they released an alpha gameplay video this week, and does that game look good.
It looks like my dreams of what I heard I always wanted Shadowrun to be. It's sweet.
Doesn't it remind you of the old Fallout games?
Shadowrun always was kind of like the old Fallout games.
But I mean, just the fact that the Shadowrun game that we got
on the 360
a few years ago was so garbage, and just was really nothing but a shooter with the Shadowrun name forcibly attached to the front end of it.
Straight up.
This new video is like, if you ever played the tabletop games or read the books, both of which I did, I mean, It's got everything. It's got ley lines. It's got ley lines.
Ah, preach it, Pac-Man.
I'm out.
You know what's funny is nowadays I hear some people try to defend the Shadowrun game that was on the 360.
No, don't
Like,
let them get away with it.
It wasn't that bad. I'm like, it was, and there's a reason that studio doesn't exist anymore.
You need to go back to our bonus content from last week and take my face-shutting example and give it to them.
Give it to them?
Yeah.
Grab both sides of your face and shut it.
Absolutely. Man, I'm looking forward to new Shadowrun. That looks really good. And if you haven't checked out the video yet, go and look that up.
I am too, and I believe it was said it was going to be from back too. So yay me!
It's crazy how much attention to detail it looks like they put into that.
I know, the art looks really, really good. Oh, Shadowrun. And also, another game that is an old franchise coming back for a bit of a new take. There's a new Thief game coming, guys.
The Thief!
A new Thief game. And we kind of knew about this, or at least a lot of us did, going back 4 years ago, maybe. They said there was a new Thief game on the way, but they never showed anything because they always said, it's not quite where we want it yet. That's my, who's making it? Eidos.
A bunch of French... Eidos. A bunch of French people that work at Eidos.
Oh, we cannot release the Thief footage yet because it is not great. But now, I've suddenly turned into Arnold Schwarzenegger. But now...
Yeah, now that the Thief is ready, you are ready to experience it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the thing about Thief is basically the preeminent, the forefather of all the modern sort of stealth games.
It's the stealth,
especially ones that, you can see elements of it in, everything from Assassin's Creed to Hitman,
and most recently Dishonored, which was pretty much just a new Thief game.
Dishonored being the closest to the original how Thief played.
Yeah, and they said they're releasing it on PC and next-gen consoles, thus confirming that there will be a second next-gen console because of use of their plural of the word consoles.
Now, do we know if it's going to be first-person or third-person?
There was a gameplay video, I think, that came with it, but I haven't actually looked at it yet.
Was there? I must have totally missed that link.
I believe it was first person.
I mean, it should be first person. And I don't think they're calling it Thief 4 yet. Or at least they haven't.
No, they've updated it to say that it's just going to be called Thief. It's
That's
going to be
fair enough. No one remembers Thief at this point.
Well, I mean, if they just named it numerically, I mean, you're going back to a series that's probably older than a big portion of their market.
Sure.
I think we're going to see the end of a lot of the numbers being attached to the end of games.
Yeah, I think that time has come, hasn't it?
Yeah, because I mean, some games are about to get into the fourth or fifth installments. Not of course like a game like Just Dance 3. They don't really care about numbers.
Well, sure.
But pretty soon it's just going to be Call of Duty : shooting people in the face or whatever.
Yeah.
The exception to this rule will be Final Fantasy, of course, because we're going to carry on getting numbers there.
Yes. Now, wouldn't it be funny if they just started over again or chose like some random number? Final Fantasy 53.
I'd love it if they took Apple's route and just called it the Final Fantasy.
The Final Fantasy.
And then there just was the Final Fantasy 2.
And then the Final Fantasy 2S.
But it doesn't really matter because Japanese naming convention has never made any sense. I mean, they released games called stuff like Infinite Undiscovery.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what? What? Like, I realize things get lost in translation, but really?
Dun, 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 the first unofficial Steam box.
$1,000!
I apparently just went off into a whole world of my own where I was a news presenter. Coming back.
Kev is Ron Burgundy.
Sure. The XI3 piston. Is there a way of pronouncing this that I don't know?
The Z piston.
That is
the Z piston.
That is how you say it.
Z3 piston.
Let's just call it what it is. Something none of us are going to buy at $1,000.
I've already got a PC.
That's what I was saying. I mean, like, $1,000. I don't know. You mean you could save $100 if you pre-order it before the 18th of this month?
That $900 is still a lot of money.
Look, realistically, $1,000 is what you're looking at for a decent gaming PC anyway. So it doesn't surprise me.
No,
this is the price.
That's not true at all.
Yes, it is.
You could spend $800 and get a decent one.
You can just spend $800 and get a gaming PC. I wouldn't call it decent necessarily.
Well, I got a $600 mini tower rig sitting on my desk, and it might not be able to hit max settings, but I can put pretty much everything on high, and that's pretty damn good. That's certainly better than a console can put out.
Yeah, I'm just well, my point is it's probably mid-range to slightly lower, which means at 1080p you can probably knock out a high settings with anti-aliasing and shadows turned down, But
I mean, the thing about the Piston, I think, is that extra $400 is, I guess, longevity tech.
Right, when it comes to what's coming out next, for the next gen stuff, like if you want to compete with the PS4 and the and whatever the next Xbox is called, you need a decent PC. Like mine, as it is right now, has always been pretty competent with the X9 stuff and the current generation. In fact, above competent, but it is not going to hold up. Like Crysis 3 made me feel the realization in my brain that I need a new video card, guys.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's put it this way. Okay. So this Steam box, you're supposed to plug into your TV, right, and then play.
Sure.
Can it do anything else? Can you browse the interweb?
I have to imagine you've got the option to boot out to an OS level, but I have to imagine that's also a Linux OS. You can probably install Windows on there and customize it, but
because I mean that's the big thing. It's like if you have the difference between spending $1,000 on this or $1,000 on your PC, the PC kind of can do more.
Dave, this is not intended for people who build PCs.
Then what is it for, man?
It's for the people who like consoles and like the simplicity of consoles and just want to buy a PC.
Besides the fact that at current price points, as they're projected, you could get both an Xbox and a PS4 for this price right here.
Sure, but you wouldn't get incredible Steam sales on those either.
But you know what you will get? Incredible Crisis before everybody else.
Oh, let's hope so.
The thing is, too, is that this isn't the only Steam box. Steam box isn't a particular line.
No, this is part one of many.
Yeah, so the rumor is that right now there's as many as 6 different tech companies putting together in some way, shape, or form Steam boxes for market.
Yeah.
And one of them, I can't remember what the hell it's called. I think it's got some stupid code name like Lobster or something. But the rumor on that is that it's got a $500 price point. And $500 is still a lot of money, but that, I think, is a little more...
way more agreeable.
At least, because the thing is, too, is that even this, the Piston, all the Steam boxes are built around being upgradable, right? So if you buy... I think people would be much more comfortable buying at $500 and then upgrading up if they needed to or wanted to than to go in at $1,000, because that's the wrong way to do it.
Yeah, probably. And to be fair, Valve has not announced their flagship product yet either.
The official Steam box?
Or if it exists. They said it exists, right?
Well, if it exists, they'll put it out when they're ready.
Sure. It'll come out in about 10
I think
years.
what they want is Steam box to be a moniker the way laptop is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what they're looking for.
But the thing is, too, is that Steam box isn't a new idea. People have had... mini portable towers and custom and small form factor PCs for a really long time, which is basically all this is, right? It's just now the design is leaning a little more towards traditional console aspects, but like people have had frag boxes, and I think it's frag box from Falcon Northwest for about a decade.
Mm-hmm. This is it's kind of like the new Alienware.
So here's a question for you, Kev. I know you're all about the Steam, and Pac-Man is too. Anybody who plays on PC is all about the Steam. Cause
of course.
If you're not, then why the hell are you playing games on your PC?
Well, you buying discs?
What if Microsoft's answer to Gaikai is that the new Xbox is the Steam box? Like it can get on Steam.
I can't see that happening.
Why not? The specs that keep leaking. I mean, it's obviously the thing's going to be as powerful as a modern PC. And what if they were able to pull off that coup? Because Gabe Newell has been a big fan of the 360 before he's a fan of the PS. Anything.
Right, Dave. I want you to go to Google at some point and look up Gabe Newell's opinion of Microsoft. See what you find.
He has a higher opinion of them than he does Sony.
No, he does not.
that's not true. He had that mea culpa where he came out on stage on Sony's behalf, and he's like, yeah, and he took the crowd's boos and everything, and he totally flipped the script, and he said he likes Sony. Specifically because of their embracing of cloud technology and a couple other things.
Yeah, and he has since gone on to say that Windows 8 is the biggest mistake in PC gaming since PC gaming began. There is no way Microsoft are going to endorse his products.
A buddy of mine I do another podcast with on another website, he went out and bought a computer, and the salesman somehow was like, yeah, Windows 8, dude, you need to get that. And and he got it home, and he hates it. He's like, he's like, there's no start button. I don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, you got to change some stuff around. But, I mean, Windows has always been... I mean, just the fact that Windows is incorporates legacy technology in every release means that every version of Windows is basically carrying the majority of the crap from the last generation into the new one.
Because it's been written on the same kernel for years now, ever since 98, I think, came out.
Yep.
It's all been written on the same code base.
But, I mean, if Xbox could get on Steam, that would be crazy.
Microsoft's just making good decisions now. There's like, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to put out a version of Windows, a really one. And then everybody's going to have to go buy the next one because they're not going to have a choice when they buy their PC. And they're just going to keep doing that. It's like Windows... It's going to become kind of like the Star Trek films. Except in reverse. The odd numbers are going to be good, and the evens are going to suck.
Well, whatever. Star Trek films, Wrath of Khan, then just stop watching.
Well, pretty much.
Khan!
Yo, Star Trek First Contact is the bomb.
You can watch the reboot. The reboot was good.
I'm saying, First Contact, best Star Trek film.
Oh, I disagree with you there.
Everything was good about the new Star Trek film because they made it because they made it an alternate timeline, which allowed me to accept it as a Trekkie. Except for the guy they got to play.
Careful where you go with this. All right, I'll let you off.
I'm not a fan of the guy who plays Kirk because you look at his resume, you look at all his other movies too, and they all suck.
I was about to say
he's like the new Keanu Reeves. His movies are good despite his ass.
Yeah, but he's not what I would call an action star.
He's not what I would call a star at all. He just lucked into that role somehow.
J.J. Abrams had a vision, and he was in it.
Chris Pine, his name is, right?
That is his
Chris
name?
Pine. I was going to say, if you were going to have a go at
Chris Hemsworth is his daddy, so whatever.
No, Carl Urban is awesome in that as McCoy.
Carl Urban is the best thing about that whole film. Is this the new Flicks podcast? What is going on, guys?
Hey, everybody can talk about movies. And we're not talking about Star Wars, so this is allowed.
I'm going to put my serious hat on for a moment,
Uh-oh.
which is something I very rarely do.
Is that like a BDSM thing or what?
It's my hat. This is making it hard to be serious. Right, so Anita Sarkeesian has released finally her first episode of Tropes vs. Women, which was a Kickstarter project that she started to get some money together to make a documentary about how women are represented in video games and the culture therein. Suffice to say, that Kickstarter project saw some reactionary responses.
Reactionary response. She got death threats and shit. I mean, literally every horrible thing that you could think of someone trying to do over the internet was done. In spades. Like, crazy. Like, it's going on right now.
Yeah, to the point where she's now released the first episode. And, yeah, same reaction again from those particular vocal minorities, and it is f***ing disgusting. BRB alumni Matt Jones wrote something for his website Game Ranks called Comments Aren't Disabled, and it was a roundup of a lot of comments that have been made about this project among many of the larger gaming blogs that are just particularly gruesome and clearly written by subhuman beings. And it all started because Anita Sarkeesian had to disable comments on her YouTube channel because she was getting death threats and all manner of other horrible things that I don't really want to go into mentioning, but it got
Why do we have to kill her, people, huh? Why must she die?
Well, you know what? To be fair, the death threats were probably the less disgusting.
This is what I'm saying.
The other threats, because she is a woman, you can let your mind go to whatever kind of nasty shit you could think of men saying to a woman on the internet. But I mean, it was bad. It was bad.
Yeah, and the bottom line is that, when you watch that episode, virtually everything she says is just, like, you can't argue with it. She's making an argument that has no flaw, really.
No, the video was, I don't know what I was expecting. I don't know what preconceptions I might have had. They weren't negative ones, but the video is well done.
Well, when I read the comments, I originally expected her to come out and go, "Men suck, and here's why," because of all the comments, and I'm like, okay. So, and then I clicked, and it was very mellow. I thought it was a little long, but that's just my opinion.
But I mean, it's really worth watching.
Absolutely, you guys should all check it out. It's a topic that is always going to receive a lot of back and forth between really extreme ends of of that particular thought spectrum, but keep watching throughout this series, because if she can get through to even just a handful, like in terms of relative percentage of the gaming male population specifically, then that is a job well done. And
the first episode, just to let everyone know, is the episode of the first topic. The first episode of her series is Damsels in Distress. Which I no gamer alive can argue isn't an overdone trope.
Exactly, right.
Games. Rescuing the princess, whatever, is almost part of the DNA of video games for the last 40 years.
And Nintendo is the main culprit.
Well, she outright cited
really,
a Nintendo game to start off her argument, which was starring a female character originally in concept, and would be a big open-worldy game, and then it got rewritten into Star Fox Adventures, where the female protagonist got locked in a cage for the whole game, and you had to save her as a male. And,
Miyamoto.
It's she's dropping facts, like, that happened. You can look it up. Like, all that stuff happened, and she's specific. Like, there's this part where she mentions that in Mario, you can only play as the princess. I think that's what she said. That 13 of the main core Mario games, she gets kidnapped, and you can only play as her as one of them. But she makes sure to say core series, because you look in the comments, immediately people are like, yeah, but you could play as the princess in this Mario game, in this Mario game, in this Mario game, in this Mario game, whatever. But she's if you watch, she's like, in the core original, the main line of Mario games, it's true. She's got, like, the videos to show everything she's talking about. It's really well laid out.
Yeah, she straight up did her research, and I think that's why people are being so negative about it, is because they actually have no real argument to make, so they just lash out, which is a nasty response. The
whole women in video games thing, women are I think they're already at the 50-50 mark between who men and women in who are gamers. I don't think there's a disparity anymore. I think there's just a disparity in representation and or quality representation of women in gaming. But Sarah, who writes for our site, wrote an article called "Sex Violence in Video Games," which sort of touched on was more about how we're more willing to accept violence than we are nudity and sex in video games. But it touches on a lot of the stuff I expect Anita's series to touch on. Is just that there's it's a really weird gaming world now where we're modern and we're a lot more open to new ideas, but our games are still rooted in the 80s.
Well, some of our games have sort of moved on up, as it were. You've always had Tomb Raider, which at first I'll admit Tomb Raider was a woman with gigantic boobs and short shorts. But the new one, not so much that. Gears of War has female protagonists that you can play as. Saints Row has a lot. I can't remember if they let you do it in 1 and 2, but in 3 you could be a female lead character if you wanted to be.
Sure.
And actually, there's an achievement for switching sexes for 2 hours. Like you had to play 2 hours as a man, 2 hours as a woman. So I mean, we're kind of getting there. We're just most of our established franchises that we've been playing for the last 10 plus years.
Well, I think there's a difference between what you're saying. There's a difference between being able to play a girl in the games we play versus her being the lead character in terms of story dialogue. The game's about her. There's girls in Gears of War, but there's no girl versions of Marcus or what's his name? The football dude.
Cole.
The Cole Train. I have played Gears of War and I love the Cole Train. And you know what I don't want to see? A female version of the Cole Train. That's what I don't want to see. I don't need a female Cole Train.
The Cole
Train runs on Hungry, baby. Woo!
But what we do have Tomb Raider, and we do have what's another good one that has a female lead in it is the Assassin's Creed for the Vita. Whether or not you like the mechanics and stuff, that story and that character was really well done.
Mass Effect Femshep.
Yeah, Mass Effect you play, and the incredible popularity of Femshep.
Yeah, and obviously that Remember Me game is coming up pretty soon as well, and that stars a female protagonist, which should be interesting.
Yeah, and the Last of Us is I would argue she's a co-lead character. Obviously, you've got Beyond Two Souls. Main character is going to be played by Ellen Page. She's going to be the lead. But I mean, the thing is all that stuff's good, but there's still a lot of the old, even in some of the games we like Uncharted, you couldn't make it through 3 games without having to rescue some of those girls.
But you also have to rescue Sully and other people too.
Yeah. But that's sort of the good way to do it. Like, it doesn't mean you can't ever rescue a woman in a video game from a bad situation. It just needs to be equal to the amount of times some guy's stupid ass needs to be rescued.
Or just don't make it a post that is so easy to lean on. Don't just think, right, I'm going to write a video game, it's going to have this female character, and at some point you'll have to save her because that's just expected. That is not a thing that needs to be in the mindset of a designer anymore.
Well, one of the things she brought up during this was Mario. Like, your average,
protagonist?
No. Platformer. Platformer is the word I was looking for. Your average Mario platformer. After, since the 80s, which is how long we've been playing Mario games and also the Donkey Kong games, isn't it just kind of the thing now that, when you play a Mario game, you're going to have to rescue the princess? Not to sound sexist, that's what Mario is now.
Well, no, I don't think she's saying that, the Mario setup has to change, because there is definitely the legacy, the nostalgia aspect of it being a carryover. But she was just using it as a really easy way of showing, how prominent that trope is. Because that's what her discussions are. These are all, each episode is a different trope of how women are portrayed or exist in the gaming landscape.
Yeah, she's not exclusively targeting particular games. She's just saying, look, this is an example of the trope that I'm trying to get at.
And you know what the thing is? It's the same thing that happens in the movie industry. Is there's this twisted old white man logic, and I just say that because it's true, that women, it's the same reason they say that there's not more minorities as lead characters. So there's fewer Denzel Washingtons and more Bruce Willises, is because that's what the majority of the audience with the money that we want is going to go see. We don't think the white audiences will go see a black or an Asian leading star in a movie.
Hey, how many women, regardless of their age, went to go see Twilight? How many Team Edward shirts have you seen out there on women who are 30 plus? A lot. Women like to go see that. It's a thing.
The thing is that it's complete bullshit. It's the same reason. Kind of twisted executive logic for video games. We're not going to have a female lead because that might alienate the male market, or we won't have a black main character in our game because that might, we don't think the market would, the middle class white America will go spend the money to go see it. And it's all complete bullshit. Because if something's good, the audiences will eat that up. No one really cares about that stuff, but there's still a lot of companies that make decisions thinking that if we don't have a white male lead, that will somehow shrink our audience by going any other direction.
Right, that is the signal to say it's time to move on to the next topic, because we're running out of time, and we've got to talk about SimCity, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, here's another one. I might as well just leave the serious cap on, shall I? Or shall I take it off? I don't know.
You should put on your wacky hat.
Oh, waka. Alright, look, SimCity came out
Yo,
this
they
week.
released SimCity. It is so pretty, but oh my god, the online is so
Titty.
That's a pretty dope rap.
I know, right?
I just said titties so that we could maintain both our respect for women and still be sexist pigs.
And rhyme with itty still.
Yeah,
Obviously.
and it just rhymed. It rhymed. Like, it's not sexist if it rhymes.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm not going to say nothing.
Right, so SimCity came out this week. Kind of. Right.
It came out. It was released. You could download it.
Yeah, well, you could download it on the day.
You could download it to a certain point.
So, this game started off terrible when they didn't even let you preload it, which is a common thing on PC. Even on Origin these days, you can preload a game so it's ready to go the minute it gets released. That didn't happen with SimCity. So the second they released it, their servers died. So anyone that actually managed to get in, well, they got the game downloaded, but then they couldn't play the game because the servers died. Now, bear in mind, they've done, 3 beta tests at this point?
Yes.
To stress servers and
But
see
how
what
long
they
were
could
they?
take.
Because I know some of them were like a weekend.
No, they were all a
but-
weekend.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's not a good beta test. You got to do it like a month. 2 weeks. Solid.
But there's just there's no way to I don't know. I can't imagine they had 100,000 beta testers. I'd say it's probably something like 10,000 or something like that. That's not much of a stress test. Always online DRM is the culprit here. We all know that. The always online connection for a game that you can no longer play basically single player is messed up. And they drastically underestimated how many people wanted to play SimCity.
That is the reasoning here. DRM is not really the culprit. You can't blame something that just requires you to have an internet connection. What you can blame is how many servers they have ready to take the amount of people that need that internet connection. They just didn't put out enough servers. And it's slowly been fixed. It's taken, 5 or 6 days? There are still server queues, but people are actually logging in now. I got a solid night of playing last night. It was great. Once I was in the game, I loved it.
I mean, the only thing, as far as the game goes, I am a little upset that there's a lot less godlike powers. They have trimmed down the feature set. Some things have been streamlined. Some options are completely gone. And the city spaces that you can build on are actually kind of small. You can no longer build a city with everything in it in one go. You're basically making a number of cities that all join together become one supersized city in the region for all intents and purposes.
Yeah. It's an emphasis on multiplayer this time, which is an interesting way to go about
cool.
it.
It works.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to. There is an issue right now on the region I'm on where someone has built the supervillain headquarters, so he's sending criminals around to everyone else's cities to mess us up.
Well, you guys got to build your superhero, because I got the deluxe pack, so I got the superhero and villain set. So you need to get someone to build his own superhero fortress and send him out against him.
That is the first thing I'm doing when I get off this podcast.
Does the bad guy fortress, does it look like the Legion of Doom?
I wouldn't know. I haven't built
And
it.
when you build it, does it go, meanwhile, back at the Legion of Doom?
I'm not positive, but because I've only gone the hero route so far, but you can build the bad guy's called Dr. Vu.
Dr. Vu, yeah.
And you can build the Vu Tower, which is its own sort of big building in the city, and I think it gives you a bonus to technology, and it also increases the amount of crime in the city at the same time.
Yeah.
But I mean, the game itself is fun. When it works, it's fun. Even though right now they had to turn features off just to get it to work. And some of the features that are missing that are really annoying right now is the filters for searching for joining games.
Yes, that's an irritating one. They have fortunately reinstitutionalized, that's a bad word. They have reintegrated cheetah speed, which is the fastest play mode. They took that out for a little while, and I imagine that was terrible, playing the game without super speed.
Oh my god, playing on, I guess, the third level speed is brutal because, I mean, it takes hours for your city to go from, the 20,000 mark to the 100,000 mark. Like, you don't even want to know how long it took my city to get to 100,000.
How long did it take?
I don't know, like 5 hours or some shit. It's crazy.
It's a long time, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not joking. I mean, it was really slow. But as far as the game release, I mean, they didn't have enough servers. Bang, number one. Always online DRM is stupid. The fact that we know for a fact that the SimCity devs at one point saw what happened to Diablo 3. And let's anyone gets this twisted, this is worse than Diablo 3. I was playing Diablo 3 for 12 hours straight at this point after Diablo 3 released. This is worse. But the guys from Maxis gave an interview to Kotaku and even specifically said, we saw what happened to Diablo 3 and we're working to make sure that something like that doesn't happen. And this still happened.
Yeah.
Amazon is no longer selling digital versions in some regions because things are so bad. Because people were calling Amazon en masse asking for refunds and stuff like that. And Amazon's policies are much different than if you buy directly from the store marketplace for the site.
Yeah, so it got to the point where EA, they put out a press release apologising after they had already closed down their customer service phone line. They put out a email to a lot of their advertisers saying, please don't advertise our game for the time being. We apologise for the inconvenience.
Yeah, I mean, they had, these special showings. SimCity was going to be at events. They had, I'm pretty sure there's even a commercial or two that are no longer going to air yet. This is bad. I mean, there are places that are no longer selling their game. Their marketing campaign got turned off. They've had the head of Maxis, I can't remember what her name is, come out and specifically say, we own, this is something I do like. Maxis has come out, whether or not it's completely their fault, has come out and said, we own this mistake, we're doing everything we can to fix it, there's no excuse, we should have known better, but damn.
And we're going to get a free game out of it, apparently, from their extensive catalogue.
Yeah, but they've been vague about that. Are they going to pick the game for us?
This is going to be something terrible.
Because if they offer us something like in some old Battlefield 1942 copy or Dragon Age 2 would be the ultimate insult. Here's another game we up royal.
I just love the fact that Steam said, "Oh, we got this. All of our city building games, we got a huge sale right over here, and they all work right now."
I saw a picture of that. That didn't happen in the UK, but I saw a picture of the Steam screen with that on. Yeah, it was hilarious.
Good Old Games was selling SimCity 2. I think it was 2000, whatever it was called. Or actually, I guess they were selling them all. But the older SimCities, I guarantee, have been selling like hot cakes.
I bet SimCity 4's gone up in sales in the last week.
Yeah. I think I saw that they dropped like Tropico 2 to like 75% off or something ridiculous like that. They're just you want to buy this right here.
There's a Kickstarter. There's a Kickstarter for $250,000 to make a SimCity clone. And it's got like half the money or some shit. I gotta check again.
Yeah, let's not beat around the bush. This is the single biggest up of a launch that has happened this entire console generation, possibly ever. I can't think of anything that went worse than this. There are MMO launches that went better than this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's bad. Did you know when MMOs are having a better launch week than you are, that you done f***ed up?
Yeah. This has been horrendous.
And it's the thing about it is that game's not perfect, but I've put almost like 15-20 hours into it off and on. I mean, really spurred, like not in solid goes because the servers are still crazy. But there's some really cool things, like some of the community aspects and the dynamic living regions that you share with your friends is cool. But I miss being able to have a huge city and go in with the sculpting tools and sculpt all the mountains I wanted out perfectly and everything, and literally be able to, build lakes and oceans and change all that stuff. And that's not in the game anymore.
This isn't the best SimCity game. We might as well just say that straight up. But what it is an attempt to make SimCity a bit more multiplayer focused, so that you can kind of get that SimCity core experience with your friends being involved. And I really like the direction they've taken with that. It's not a replacement for SimCity 4 or 2000 especially, but it's fun. It's nice building a city that you're restricted in size to, and then having to actually talk to your friends to arrange trade with them. That's an interesting mechanic,
and it's a lot more alive too.
Yeah, it's
a lot more like, you can, if you get the French police station, which is one of the extras.
The deluxe pack gave you that, right?
You can, they had, like, you see these sort of cool car chases, and there's super villains, and like all these crimes that go on. There's when my city hit 100,000, just after that, I saw my first alien.
Oh man!
And this ship came in and started scanning people and kidnapping people from their homes, and it shot this laser beam, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Do I shoot it down? How do I shoot it down? Like, I was the first time I saw it, and I'm like, oh, this is sweet. So there's whole elements to this game that I haven't even been able to see because my cities haven't been able to get big enough to really trigger a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But like, if you get a stadium, the big stadium, and you get it to max capacity, and you hold like a monster truck event or something like that, and all these people come, like, you can make $300,000 off of some of these tourist traps and stuff like that. And there's like all these crowds crowding mass transit, and crime breaks out, and like they can like riot, and don't have enough cops. It's fucking sweet.
Build stadium. I'm just writing this on my to-do list. Right.
Do you think this will change what other people are going to do as far as online only? Because I don't think this will stop anyone from doing always online DRM again. But do you think that this will be a good thing for the industry, so that people realize that if we're going to do it this way, we're going to have to prep a lot more?
I like to believe that the lesson to take away from here is, look, we should think twice about online DRM. But if we're going to go down that road, we should overcompensate the upfront cost with putting as many servers online as possible.
I think that's what gets them, is because, when you talk about, especially like this, because don't get it twisted, you can't, no matter what someone's trying to tell you, you can't really hack SimCity and pirate and use it offline, because a lot of what's going on in that game is running in a cloud. So there's huge portions of SimCity that's running in the cloud. So you simply will not be able to just take what you've downloaded and be able to play SimCity. But I think that the thing is, it costs a lot of money to have front end server setups, little server farms and stuff to run your clouds and do all this other stuff, and to have servers to max that capacity. Because what if you have all these servers set up and launch isn't as good? You're going to take a bath, because a lot of that stuff is expensive as shit.
And that's been the problem this time around. They weren't anticipating this many people, especially, maybe a few weeks down the line they were expecting it to cut down a little bit, but that initial hit of people was not what they expected. So they went, what's the kind of amount we're looking at? I don't know, X people. Right, well, we'll put enough servers online for those, and we'll activate more if need be. And then they had, 3 times more people log on, my best guess. They don't have servers ready for that. They haven't paid money for that.
They said that... I'm not sure if they said that. I can't remember where. I think I might have read it across Twitter. But I think that initially they were thinking that day one would cap out at 1 million.
Right.
People.
See, I think that's underestimating a lot.
I do as well. But you got to think, though, that 1 million is a really solid number for a game to be released.
Hey, that is
it's
a
conservative,
success by anyone's standards.
Yeah, I mean, that's a hit. But the fact that they haven't released the numbers, I wouldn't be surprised that maybe it might be hard to check now that there's been so many refunds, but I wouldn't be surprised if SimCity hit 2 or even 3 million, because everyone I know, almost all staff have this game. Almost all my peers have this game. I actually don't know very many people who don't have this game, or if they don't have it, haven't told me that they're buying it next paycheck. Despite all this, this game was way, way more popular than they realized.
I'm as guilty of that as anyone. I knew coming in, and I'm as well informed as anyone in this industry, and I saw the review scores on Tuesday when they went up, or Monday, whatever it was. I saw that they were below average. I know people were saying that it was a lesser SimCity than the previous couple, and I know that there were server issues, and I still went out and paid 50% more than it costs for any other PC game to buy this game.
Yeah, I went out. I got the deluxe edition. I was like, you know what? I'm in.
Anyway, that is our SimCity chat. It could go on forever, but sometimes, guys, we've just got to call it a show. And this is, I am getting a pen, I am writing on the guy's forehead and calling it the show. There we go.
And we'll be posting the show notes, and we'll be posting the show a sticky note,
The sticky icky
in the forums, because this week's agenda was brought to you by Kev, care of SimCity.
Yeah. All right, so shout outs, guys. Who wants to do shout-outs? I don't want to. I've hosted this whole thing. I'm going to leave shout-outs for someone else.
I'll do it.
Go on then, Dave.
First off, we got to like to thank the people that left us some love on the iTunes section of the iTunes. If you too would like a shout-out from the love, just go to your iTunes and give us a little love. You know, say we like the show and stuff, and then we'll read your name right here. Big shout-out to Professor Corey from the US of A. And are we ignoring the toaster?
You know what? Once and for all, let's just give this guy a call out, and then we'll start ignoring him again.
All right, the toaster. Big ups to him from the UK, and that's all we got for new stuff on the iTunes. And then from the forums, we got Solid Jackal, Dangerous Brian, the Phenomenal C, Dude, who works on the BRB, Corey,
that's
not the writer,
by the way.
I can't read. Once again, the toaster, and this is the last time we will let him know that we know he exists. Polar Smoke, Fire Muncher, Wrecking Ball, Yoshi Fett of Boom Show fame, and Alex Nation. Thank you guys for stopping by the forums. And the rest of you should too.
You're all lovely people.
Yes. Make sure to go to BigRedBarrel.com and check out. We've got some good editorials right on the front page, and like us on Facebook. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow me at PacManPolarBear. Follow Kev at Krellith, and follow Dave at Dave_BRB.
Yeah, that's another Burbcast, people.
It is. The Burbcast continues.
Catch you on the flip side.
Laters.
Bye-bye.
Big Red Barrelcast.
You and your ears are quite welcome.
For the podcasting goodness that you just heard.
Why not roll on over
To BigRedBarrel.com
for more podcasts,
news, reviews, and videos from the biggest, reddest site on the internet. BigRedBarrel.com